What's going on, everybody? Welcome to your collective and sun sign horoscopes for this full moon in Gemini, which will be exact tonight, tomorrow, technically, on the 27th of November, 2023. I'm Brian Scarborough, Fixed Air Moon, and I'm looking forward to giving you my opinion on, of course, the collective side and for your sun. And don't forget to throw your rising sign in as well. Super excited. Feels pretty good. I'm kind of digging the energy. Um, Saturn's in the mix. Saturn, in Pisces is going to be squaring it, so that's a big deal. We'll get into that. I am doing, of course, personal one-on-one readings for $100. If you're interested, you can email me at brian@fixedairmoon.com if you want to set up and schedule. Starting, I'm booked up for the rest of this month, but December's got some spots. January's got spots. So if you're interested, I'm around. So if not, hope this is helpful enough for you. Looking forward to getting into it with you. So let's jump right in. We'll jump right into this full moon. It is going to be at 4 degrees of Gemini. We got the Sun and Mars together in Sagittarius. Happy Sag season. I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving if you celebrate with your friends, your family, by yourself, however you do it. I hope that you're just feeling, grateful to be here, thankful, if anything, whether you support the holiday or not. Just a good time to feel hopeful in Sag season, to see a bigger horizon out in front of us. And hopefully, if anything, this culmination of a full moon that is in Gemini from a lunation cycle that started in Scorpio 2 weeks ago, hopefully this is giving us more truth. Gemini's the sign of truth. So there could be a lot of information. It could be a very intellectual time where we're having to kind of decipher and understand a lot of our own truths, a lot of our maybe own beliefs, having to maybe make some quick changes. Gemini is a sign of pivots. It's when new information presents itself, we have to adjust our beliefs accordingly. Otherwise we get too dogmatic, too kind of stuck in one system or one way of thinking. And every now and then we got to broaden, which is why Sag and Gemini have their polarity, because Sag is so broad, but it can also be very hyper-focused and fixated on its one belief where that arrow's pointing. And Gemini is like, well, we got to look at, different things. We got to be able to, pick sides, in some sense. We got to debate, we got to have conversation, communication, and, think. So this is a good time to think outside the box. This is definitely a good time to think about your trajectory, the things in life that you're very passionate about, that you're really, interested in, that you're trying to go deeper with. This is a good time to do more investigative work. You could be feeling very called to investigate deeper into certain situations so that you can, expand the journey, if you will, as we're in Sagittarius season. It is this culminating point, it could be a release time with a full moon. So, we have to release maybe old limiting ways of thinking. It's Sag season. Sag wants to explore. It wants to go far. So whatever we're thinking that's limiting us from going further, we need to maybe make pivots in our own personal lives to understand what's possible, what is possible, and how do we limit ourselves. Saturn is in square to this at 0 Pisces and direct. So, it could be very easy to limit ourselves into false beliefs. These could be beliefs we put on ourselves. I can't do that. That's not possible for me. You could do it a bunch of different ways, right? And Saturn's in Pisces, the sign of faith. Again, Sagittarius deals with faith and belief. So there's this highly spiritual energy that's trying to have you make adjustments in your life that kind of come with decisions. Saturn always makes us make a decision. It comes with a choice. Sometimes they're heavy, sometimes they're hard, sometimes it's the adult decision in life. So to me, when I look at this, and even seeing Mars in the mix, square Saturn, which I'll be honest, I like Mars square Saturn. I think, sure, it could make it feel like our actions are taking more effort. But a lot of the times, that's just what we need, is to put more effort into certain situations. So I feel like we got to put some more effort into broadening our life to making the necessary changes in Gemini, which is close to us. It is really like within arm's reach. It's our community, it's our environment, it's what's right around us. It's the way we think too. We have a responsibility with Saturn to not limit ourselves, because that's just it's almost like it's stopping us. It's saying, "Hey, I can't do that. That won't work." Again, this is a good time to release that way of thinking so that you can tweak and move things around. I feel like we got to be able to pivot on a dime. And it could be a highly emotional time right now where it feels like we're stuck, especially with all these squares to Saturn. With Mars and the Sun, our two defining energies, our very action-oriented energies in the collective. It can feel like we're at this, stop sign in life. So what, right? Stop signs come. We have to stop every now and then. Maybe this is a time to stop and think. Maybe we got to think about our feelings with the moon in Gemini. We got to think about the things we need to say. Maybe there are important things that need to be expressed to, hit the accelerator again in life and to move away from a stop sign. Maybe it's about conversation. Maybe it's just about the way you think literally to yourself. Maybe it's the way you think about your environment. We can't limit ourselves right now or we're going to feel crushed. I mean, this could bring on melancholy type energy for a lot of people if you're letting limiting factors stop you. Yes, there are limits in life. Yes, there are boundaries in life. Sometimes you can only take things so far, but that just means that you can take something else further. So it's a good time to make necessary adjustments and not halt yourself in a way that something else, Saturn, it's, something outside of us, society, people, the way the world works, what's going on, politics with Saturn, governments, definitely like gotta start making our own rules in our own communities and in our own things right next to us so that we're not limited to what we're told. Now that could feel very anarchist in some ways, but Pluto is getting ready to come into Aquarius, and if we think we know what anarchy is, we probably don't. It's very, very anarchy, very revolutionary. So we're all shifting into that, and I think just different ways of thinking stop the limitation, because we can definitely hold ourselves back on one limitation and get emotionally upset or worked up right now in life because something isn't maybe going according to plan or isn't happening as fast as we want it to. We're not able to journey where we want to at certain, whether it's a physical place or just even in your own mind, maybe feeling creatively blocked in some ways too. I think that the trick is to make a pivot, to make, an adjustment, to think differently. Instead of maybe thinking the same way, or especially like that saying goes, where, it's insanity if you keep doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. I think this is a great opportunity to release the way we've been thinking, to think a little bit differently, think a little bit differently, so that we're not limited, so that we are having, sort of breakthrough moments, if you will. We're seeing Venus in the South Node coming to their conjunction point in Libra, which is the ruler of that South Node. So there's very strong relationship energy, people energy, balancing. It can feel like life can definitely feel out of balance in some ways right now, or it can feel very balanced. And then it's almost like, are we limiting ourselves to thinking that it will always be balanced? Or are we limiting ourselves to thinking everything will be not in balance? So we have to catch ourselves and realize that there's a polarity to everything. There's balance, there's out of balance, there's synced, there's out of sync. I mean, I just put up my second class on this site and I had to go through and resync all the audio because when I re-recorded that one, if you watched the first one, you probably, saw that the audio was really off from the video. Well, sometimes we got to take the time and put in the work to get things back in sync and to know that when things get out of sync, it's not the end of the world. It's okay. It's all good. It's part of this reality. If it was just meant to be perfect and everything in complete balance and harmony, well, that'd be great, but it just don't work that way. So we have to accept the both sides of the scales, right? when they're evened out and balanced, and then when they're not, and then make adjustments. Put in effort to create balance. Put in that work. Uranus is at 20 degrees of Taurus now, and, well, we do have that quincunx. There's almost a couple yods, but there's not. There's not. Because Mercury, there was, a closer yod a few days ago, but not so much now because that sextile is a little too wide to make the yod from Mercury and Venus. But there is that electric energy of Uranus and Taurus, which is that sort of rebellious energy that I'm feeling. Trying to take our values to another place, trying to take our relationships to a better place, trying to understand things. I feel like we have to, there's definitely conversations that are important to be had right now. I just don't know either if we even find the answer right away right now. Maybe that comes soon. Maybe that's, comes down the road. Maybe we're still investigating. It's still a Scorpio lunation cycle. Maybe we're still trying to dig in to certain aspects right now. But it's definitely a good start to be able to communicate where you want to go in life, how you want to get there. You need to make changes to express these things. These are all great aspects, especially if you are in partnerships or have friends, whatever it may be, that are, kind of walking the path with you. It's good to communicate and express so that, at least when somebody has to go do something for whatever reason, that it's not just, the most shocking thing in the world. At least they kind of, oh yeah, they did mention they needed to do something different. So I can't be too, whoa, shocked by what they're going to do for their life. Or vice versa. If somebody, has to make a change in their life, not being so, wow, oh my God, I can't believe they did that to me. Or I can't believe they didn't think about me when they did it. That's the other thing, is it's North Node in Aries. So we're having to remember throughout all of this that we have to blaze this trail on our journey. We have to make defining choices for ourselves. We can't be so passive, and this can be a somewhat passive time where we don't want to ruffle feathers, we don't want to create disharmony, we don't, that we can almost have this belief that things are so perfect. And that's the honesty, in the truth part of Gemini in itself is like, are we actually being honest? And are we really defining life? Or are we just not wanting to shake things up? Are we not wanting to ruffle some feathers in life, even though that might be the big emotional choice and decision that makes the pivot that might be necessary in life? These are things to ask yourself. Things to contemplate. Mercury, which is the dispositor of the moon in Gemini, is also making an exact trine to the North Node and an exact sextile to the South Node. So as far as, communication, especially about your beliefs and your pioneering ways and how to express these things to others, it's very important, especially in Sagittarius season. Instead of being dogmatic and, feeling like your way is the only way, you have to recognize that there's an infinite amount of ways, and somebody may not be wanting to go the way you are. These are things we have to accept. Somebody might not have the same beliefs. There are so many different beliefs. It's all good. It's all good. We should all, especially with a North Node in Gemini, be okay with our beliefs being different from somebody else's beliefs, and vice versa. And we have to remember right now to, be open, as open as we can. There could be disagreements, there can be arguments, but there could also be great debates. And that's Mars too here in opposition and square Saturn. I mean, there could be a lot of arguments. I'm glad that Thanksgiving was, a few days ago, because if this chart was on Thanksgiving, I mean, I feel like families would be tearing each other apart about just ridiculous things. Probably government and politics, and we already know, that story, with family on Thanksgiving, especially over the last few years. I mean, it's crazy. Lightheartedness, there's a youthfulness to Gemini. So I think that we have to remember too to keep a youthful lightheartedness, and that we don't have to be so serious and so, preachy about any one thing in life. The more open we could be to seeing the uniqueness of in our values and the expanse of our values and what makes us feel good and what we believe in, and having full acceptance that there's never going to be a time where we all feel the exact same way. The acceptance of that is huge. And it'll help you make the necessary, adjustments and decisions and step up for a defining place in your life to get to what you need, to get to what's going to make you feel more capacity in a creative essence in your being. Because we limit ourselves when we start thinking that we have to do what somebody else believes or that somebody else has to do what we believe. And that's a big reason I love the Four Agreements, is because what other people do and think and say has absolutely nothing to do with you. So it's important to remember that. I know we get our feelings hurt in certain conversations and when things don't line up in sync the way we want them to. But the more we understand our journey, our path, and be able to express it, and of course have compassion for the other side of something, the better. Because at least we can, compassionate with somebody and be like, yeah, I really don't see it that way, but I guess, from your point of view, I can try my best to understand. I'll never fully understand what life is like through your eyes and your emotions, but it's all good. I'm not meant to, and I'll just do my best to see it from that, but I have my eyes set on my prize, Jupiter's in quincunx. Weird energy, because Jupiter is the dispositor of the sun, moon, I'm sorry, of the sun and Mars. So it's just like it's an interesting it feels there's a very pushy energy. Like, it just feels like people are kind of going to be a little harsh on each other, in a sense that, like, you don't believe you don't believe that? Wow. You're not going to succeed. You're not going to make any money. You're not going to have nice things. You're just going to go downhill. And it's not true. That's the other thing. It's just really not true. Everybody's finding their unique path. And that's going to create really unique and special relationships that are defining individual lives and then coming together to create harmonious unions and friendships and relationships and all these other things to have. And of course, Mercury square Neptune. It doesn't make this lunation any easier. And I think that's where it comes down to, like, the hard part about wanting answers right now, wanting truth, maybe wanting everything to be fully exposed so that, you can say you're right. Because there's nothing sad loves more than being told it's right. I knew I was right. But, I don't feel like we necessarily can have the answers right now. But this is great for, I think, being compassionate. At least trying to compassionate with any, other energy in life. But it's also making communication really difficult, where we're feeling like we have to step up and say something. But there's all this passive energy with Mercury square Neptune and Venus on the south node in Libra. There's definitely a lot of just not, again, wanting to ruffle feathers or not being able to express your beliefs and your feelings like you may want to. Thank you very much, Truth or Fears. I really appreciate that. Super. Thank you. Not being able to express, ourselves clearly. I feel like this is an interesting time where we have to almost, like, use different words. We have to try and communicate at the same level that other people can understand us. If we're trying to talk about a bunch of things that maybe are over somebody's head, well, it's going to be really hard to, have them understand where you're at. Likewise, if somebody's talking about something that's completely over your head, I mean, this is a good time maybe to be like, hey, I am having a hard time understanding. I'm not really clear. And that's the thing. Gemini wants clarity, and so does Aries. Aries wants things to be more simple, more clear, more defined. So the trick right now is to really try to simplify things as much as you can, or where you want to go, what your beliefs might be in life, how you're feeling. Try to simplify it as best you can, because that might have the biggest impact, and it might make the most lasting impact. And I think Saturn in this whole thing is trying to make lasting impact out of important conversations or an important mindset. Because whether this is something that has to do with somebody else or not, just your relationship to yourself and the way you think to yourself, the way your beliefs are about yourself, others, work, whatever, these are all very important. So I think you really you have to do the responsible thing and not get lost in a melancholy or get lost in sort of a almost a little bit of martyr, energy, and really trying. We got to pick ourselves up. This is the time to be hopeful. This is the time of, expansion. So we want to remember that. And I think the more we look at the little truths, be able to express ourselves in a more simpler manner than, overly complicating certain expressions or emotions, the better we will get things in harmony. Or it'll be better too, because maybe we're thinking everything is harmonious and things are not. That's the tricky part with this Neptune. It's very tricky. It's just, there's never clarity with Neptune. We always think when we're having Neptune transits in our life, we think we get clarity, and then we beat ourselves up because it wasn't clear. And we thought it was. We really did, especially in the Sag energy. We really believed. We took action for it, but it was really a mirage. So we have to be mindful too that we might come up with ideas or plans or things that make sense right now, and that they might have been a mirage, and that's okay too. It's okay. It's okay to make a mistake. You don't have to be perfect. Nothing has to be just one way, one outcome. This is a great opportunity with this full moon to remember that there's a lot of different outcomes. We can simplify. Things need to make sense. We can find factual proof, and that'll always help us. Anytime, we need to really prove something, especially, think about a South Node in Libra and Venus in Libra. Libra's the scales, the court. We can't just take beliefs into court. We have to take facts. We have to take, cold hard evidence. So, we don't want to get so hung up and so headstrong and gung-ho in a belief that we can't prove. That's important too. Or else we're creating a story, and this is a good time to be careful that you're not creating a false story. Look for evidence, look for proof. This will make you feel better, and this will help you kind of put your emotion into things that make you feel like you're doing something. So I would say, people could feel like they really want to investigate deeply. We don't have anything in Scorpio. We had a ton in Scorpio. Now we don't, but we're still in the lunation. And this could be a time where we're like really trying to understand and look for facts and look for truth. And I think that that's all good, because we need to. We have to, find some truth and some fact and use our logical side of our mind just as much as our intuitive side, because that is also balance. And again, it's not ideal to be all logical, and it's not ideal to just be I'm 100% intuitive and I don't care anything about logic. Because again, majority of this world won't understand you, and you'll probably feel left out. So we got to use some logic, got to use some intuitive. It's all good. We need it all. Gemini's just as important as Sag, Virgo's just as important as Pisces. So remember that too. All right. Jump into the sun signs now. Jump into the All right, as always, numero uno, we'll start with Aries. Boom, Aries. All right, full moon in your third. A lot of energy culminating as well in your ninth. So that's the big axis right now. This is a big time of expression. This is a big time of being able to put your thoughts into, again, a consolidated form, your beliefs into a consolidated form, to share information, to be a communicator, to also be able to think for yourself. North Node's in your first house. You got to be able to think and have your own beliefs. Mars, your ruling planet's with the sun. So it's such an important time to be able to go back and forth, to take in new information, to not be so know-it-all that you're abrasive and nobody even wants to be around you. Right? Venus is in your seventh with the South Node. You don't have to keel over and just give in to what other people want too, but there's definitely ways to emotionally express yourself that can kind of create more win-wins for everybody in life, but to know that you're still defining your path. You can take in information, but what's not yours is not yours. So you have to really know what's yours right now, and with Mercury squaring Neptune, that can be a little hard. Neptune's also conjunct Pandora. I didn't talk about that because I didn't have it on my other chart, but gosh, Pandora's box is in Neptune. Is in Neptune. It's conjunct Neptune in Pisces. I couldn't even tell you what that means. Like, it's Pandora's box and it's with Neptune. Pretty much anything you dream up or cultivate mentally right now is Pandora's box. And what the result of that is going to be, I don't know. Okay, I can't tell you, but like, we're all opening a box spiritually right now because we're having to make a lot of defining choices in our life and really like look at things from a singular point. But it's so hard because I feel like even in spiritual communities, I do believe we're so trained, if you will, to put everybody else first. This is an interesting time where we want to balance, we want to create harmony, but gosh, we can't give up. And then I think this is really important for Aries. Like, you can't give up for your journey, for your life, for what you want, what you need. And it could be very hard to understand even what your journey is supposed to look like right now. It can feel very difficult. Saturn's also in your 12th house, direct now, squaring this energy. It can feel like there's a lot of different blocks up. There's a lot of, like, you're definitely not getting the traction that you desire out of life right now. But I think the trick is going to be emotionally taking responsibility for all the feelings that may be coming up. Take your authority back from the inside out. This is, I think, about spiritual resilience, to take information from others, to give information of your own, and to really weigh out the facts of what you're hearing and what you're giving, and be able to adjust as necessary. Doesn't have to be just one size fits all. This is where, again, people could have some really good truth, right? So you can't just discount everything another person says if it's contradictory. It would be good if you feel like it's really contradictory to maybe investigate and look into it a little bit more. Just do a little, do a little peek behind the scenes. Could be very helpful. Because there could be a lot of, it could be a somewhat, I don't know, it feels very mentally aggressive for Aries right now. And it doesn't have to be. Um, whether you feel like you're on the defense or whether you feel like you're on the attack right now. We have to, Saturn in the 12th is like, you got to take responsibility and chill out at the same time. So you kind of got to like calm down a little. It's a good time to take breaths, take in information. You don't have to do anything crazy. You don't have to find everything you're looking for right in the moment. Like, let information kind of come to you. Express what you need to express. If people aren't understanding you, don't take it too personal. I think that's another thing too. Because You might think you're making perfect sense with a Mercury in your ninth when you're, describing something and, being a teacher of your beliefs or something, and it's square Neptune exactly. And I mean, you might be, whoever's listening to you, whether you're speaking clearly or not, they could be thinking you're speaking Swahili gibberish. They won't know what to understand. It won't make any sense. So we have to be careful. I'm an Aries rising. Maybe I'm speaking a completely different language to everybody right now. I don't know, but I'm open to it. All right, Aries. Information shifts, being able to pivot, being able to have debate, conversation, and maybe change your mental framework around your beliefs too. And don't be afraid to shift your mindset, your beliefs, or shift an emotional behavior to maybe expand more. I think you want to expand right now. You have to simplify things to expand, and that's a little contradictory in itself. And it could definitely involve people in relationships and you having to make decisions about what's best for you, both spiritually and physically. Damn. It's hot up here. All right, Taurus. You got a full moon in your second house, big energy in your eighth house. Well, I feel like this is testing a little bit of security for you emotionally. Could have to do with maybe money, finances, your own appearance, the way you think about yourself, feel about yourself could be, very heightened right now. And I think you're really having to not only trust and really feel solid and think about yourself in a very high place right now, a very solid place, but be able to really trust others, to be able to merge. You don't have to do everything on your own. I feel like Taurus could feel like they really have to do things on their own right now, and you don't. This is a great time to realize that people can be such an asset on your journey. They can really go somewhere far with you. That could be part of the transformation. I feel like this would be a mentally challenging time for Taurus during this full moon if they're not willing to evolve the way they think about themselves, which would cultivate more trust and more vulnerability with others. But it can also feel like other people are testing you right now. Like there's things that you don't have control over, people, relationships, jobs, whatever, that are testing you a little bit. It can feel like abrasive. Maybe make you have these, thoughts and feelings about yourself. Whatever it might be, it's probably just a big test of inner transformation so that you can trust without feeling like somebody's going to break you or something outside of yourself is going to leave and it's going to be the breaking point. This is like really becoming mentally and emotionally strong in your self-worth, which will just make everything you merge with better for the time that it's with you. Saturn is in your 11th house, and there's definitely pressure on that Saturn. I feel like for you, it is dealing with people. I mean, it might not even be relationships. Maybe it's friend groups. Maybe it's network. Maybe it's, I don't know, things you're seeing on social media. Maybe they're part of the self-worth sort of attack right now, making you feel like things are a little heavy. Or it's a great time for you to put more effort into your friends, your social networks, so that you can share and communicate and express your emotional self-sufficiency that could be something that transforms another person. So either way, you're having to feel very secure in your uniqueness, in your special presence, and very strong in that. The more you feel that, the more you're connecting things, and the more you're also going to sever ties. This could also be a time where ties have to get severed so that you can go forward, that you can go into a future, that you can find a better vibe, a better frequency with connection and people. But again, Mercury is just making everything a little bit foggy, when it comes to expressing yourself to others, especially maybe deep feelings. can feel just a little lost. But at the same time, you don't want to be, too nervous to express yourself or too shy to say what you have to say either. Like great things come when you show the world and yourself what you feel good about. Because if anybody knows value, it's you. So, I mean, this is a great time to teach the world how to make changes in their life on what's good and what's not good. And, if they don't vibe with that, they don't vibe with that. Not your problem. You're ruling planets with the South Node. So you could be feeling pretty, I mean, I feel like that is a good feeling, but Venus doesn't love the 6th house, and it's definitely having you pay more attention to the details, get things in order, clean things up. You don't want to get lost in that situation, but you also, might find some like good information there. You might find something that makes sense. Maybe you're having to make changes to your health, your diet. The South Node usually wants us to get rid of and expel some energy. It's waste, it's K2, the body of the dragon. That's where the waste comes out. So with your ruling planet going across it, again, here in the 6th house, it's like, all right, maybe I do need to get rid of some habits that are affecting my health. Maybe that would cultivate better self-worth and value as well. So, yeah, that's what I got for you, Taurus. I hope that's helpful. Gemini, full moon in your sign. Well, I mean, this is interesting because you can be pretty like rambunctious right now. I mean, Geminis typically have a lot of energy, but this would be definitely a lot, sort of emotional presence and energy that could be being felt as you get this full moon in your sign. But you got to balance it out, right? That's the thing. All this energy in your 7th house, like you can feel like maybe for you want to do it all by yourself, but the South Node and Venus in your 5th is like, well, you can't do it all by yourself. I mean, I know it's weird right now, but the more you're connecting and in community and with groups and with people, the better off you'll be. It might be hard, but that's where like the big growth is, really. So it's important for you to get out, I think, right now, to not be too in your own aloneness. I mean, of course, we all need time to be alone. I'm not saying, spend all your time with out and about, but you can have a lot to share and a lot to, especially a lot of things, about yourself. I think people might find very interesting. So, Geminis are probably going to have a lot to share in regard to their wants, their needs, their desires. And I think people need to hear that. I don't think you want to keep all that creative sort of self-expression to yourself. Share it, but could also be, in a very emotionally high energy time with a full moon in your house, or it could be a very emotionally draining time. And then that, maybe it's the support of others that balance it out. Like if you're having a lot of stuff weighing on you emotionally in your personal life right now, maybe it's a great time to go express, to have talks, to, go to your circles, your groups, the people that are there for you and that you trust and that you connect with. That can also be a great time right now, is to just get some things off your chest. Maybe other people have the answers to help you expand. If you're feeling stuck, I bet other people are ready and willing to be there for you. Did this? No, we're still good. The live preview looks like it's out, but everything else looks good. Are we rolling? Oh, wait a second. See what you say in the chat. Are we rolling or are we not? Everything looks good other than that weird little preview on YouTube. Help me out, chat. There's a decent delay. Yes, we're good? Thumbs up? We're good. Okay, cool. Thank you. Thank you. All right, and then Saturn in your 10th, Gemini. So a lot of this pressure too. I mean, maybe you need to make some big calls about things you want to do. Like, what are your goals in life right now? Maybe it's time to share your goals with other people. Maybe you feel like you need other people to hit your goals right now. I feel like this is a great opportunity for you to consider that you don't have to do it all on your own. You do want to cultivate, of course, your own strength to always do what you need to do, but I don't shy away from, you know, reaching the top of your mountain and understanding that you can climb that mountain with other people. I think this is a great opportunity for you to do that. Of course, your ruling planet Mercury square Neptune in your 10th too. So, maybe you do want to take the next steps towards certain achievements in life, but maybe it's really hard to understand maybe your place or someone else's place in those achievements. But the clarity will come. Mercury's a quick transit, and even 2 weeks of a full moon sort of culmination energy isn't much, in the grand scheme of things either. So there is clarity coming. You're gonna start to see who's with you, who's not. Jupiter and Uranus are in your 12th house. You can feel like people are out to get you. The 12th house can bring up that kind of paranoia of, you got enemies out there. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. It doesn't really, this is a time to, I think, get your priorities straight for what you want and realize that not everybody is out to get you. And to use the help that can be at your disposal so that you can, create, revolutionizing relationships, but also something that, could be everlasting, whether it's expanding your company, your career. There's a lot that can be on the table for you right now, and you can feel like there's blocks, like things are holding you up, but time is important too. And look, Saturn's going to be in your 10th house for another 2 years. It just had its first retrograde, so it's going to be here for a long time. You have a big chance to make big things happen. So the more effort and work you put in, the better. Maybe you're starting to dream. Maybe you're thinking outside the box, and maybe sharing some of those ideas with, again, the people you trust, the people that have a similar vision as you. Maybe they're the ones that really help you cultivate something special. And even if it's not something big or revolutionary, maybe it's a big decision you have to make for yourself, something that's weighing on you. Don't feel like you got to tackle everything on your own. This is a great opportunity and a full moon here to remember you can definitely make any choice by yourself, but it's not always necessary. Sometimes people have, a lot of wisdom too, and that information could be very helpful for you. Cancer, full moon in your 12th. Well, you'll probably have a hard time sleeping tonight, Cancer, and you'll probably, when you do fall asleep, have some very interesting dreams. So, congratulations to you. I hope that it's not too mentally sort of vigorous right now. There could be a lot of subconscious thoughts running in the background. You could feel like you're trying to focus with all this 6th house energy that we have, and that, you're just easily sidetracked, thrown off a little bit. Feel like your subconscious is playing tricks on you. So try to focus as best you can, but also there could be certain self-undoing habits that your mind is, running these subconsciously that are hopefully being revealed right now. So there's definitely, I think, little things you can do to stop maybe taking yourself backwards. Like, that you shouldn't do this, it's not great for you, but God, it must give a little bit of dopamine, right? We all get that from something in life, and I'm going to do it anyways. Last night I ate a box of Tam Tams. I knew I shouldn't have done it, but I did it. Little things like that add up, and this is a good full moon that'll bring up those thoughts. They'll bring up these little things like, ooh, Probably shouldn't, but I'm gonna anyways. And with a full moon energy in your 12th, your immune system's a little up for grabs, especially emotionally. There's no there's not you're kind of wide open right now, especially with your ruling planet being the moon. So a lot of emotion, a lot of feelings, everything can kind of jump on you right now energetically. And that can make you go into a very like anxious place. So you have to know too also to you have to find ways to quiet the mind. If you feel like you're getting energetically jumped or emotionally you're just taking so much on that isn't yours, it's important to remember too that you need to step away from the hustle and bustle and step away from things so that you can quiet your mind. The better you can quiet your mind, the better your emotions will, find their chill zone. They'll come to a nice even plane for a moment. For a moment. But any of those moments can be very clear and they can help you really piece things together in your day-to-day life and literally like the mundane stuff we do day to day. Because that's where there's a lot of energy as well right now. So a little bit of both. Got to quiet the mind down, but you also got to, realize that you're getting these intuitive hits, whether it's, whether it's yours or not. And I think that's the hard part, is being able to be critical of what's your emotion, what's your thought, and what's not. And if you can really pinpoint what is yours, and you can do the necessary things for that, you're going to see really big progress and definitely be able to make really solid changes for yourself. Saturn in your 9th. Never fun when Saturn's in contact with the moon, especially for you. So there's belief checks here. There's sort of a spiritual check, like on if it's good for your reality or not. What are the things too that we're doing day to day, Cancer, that you think is so the way for you, and maybe there's a pivot that needs to be made. Maybe there's that's kind of hit the end. There can be thoughts of that. There can definitely be, feeling something, it should change and you don't want to. And this is a really good opportunity to try your best to put effort into expanding just how you live. It doesn't have to be so small. It could definitely be a lot more open. But I do think you're very open right now too, and I do think there's a lot kind of attacking you. So be honest, it's a little tricky for you with this full moon. And the best thing to do is to really know what's yours and what isn't. And whenever you have decided and had enough fact present itself that it's yours, don't push it under the rug. Don't ignore it. Don't bypass it. Really pay attention to it. It'll help you. It'll help you a lot. But even understanding the bigger picture right now and how little changes can really blow up into something big, that can also be a little difficult. Or you can be overly rambunctious about one change is going to change everything, when maybe it just makes a little change, and that was the perfect little change. Very interesting energy for you, Cancer. I feel like you're in an interesting place where you kind of you really have to discern emotion. And I think that you're well suited for it, but it can be charged up right now in a way that, whether you don't want to make any shifts in life, or whether you don't want to hear nothing from nobody about what's better, you kind of just need to be open, and you need to feel like no matter what, you're supported, that you can, you'll be able to take care of yourself emotionally. You'll be able to feel good, but you also got to make big decisions that might take you out of the comfort zone. So I feel like this is like a little bit of like rose-colored glasses sort of energy coming off. It is going to make some big changes in the day-to-day life for Cancer. It's a pretty big full moon for you. It's definitely getting ready to start, some newer energy, and it's really changing some things. And I think the change is good. This is time. You don't block yourself from change or growth right now. Embrace it, step up to the plate for it, and you'll see a lot of beneficial things come. Try not to beat yourself up too and think you're crazy. You're feeling probably more than anybody else is right now during this full moon. So it's a lot, and I think you can definitely handle it, but it's going to take resilience and, emotional maturity. And I think that if you can have that, you'll see clearly and you'll make the right decisions. But I think if you start getting too immature about things, especially about feelings and, blowing up and things just going crazy, then it could feel very, very harsh, and but you can also feel very boring too. Like you almost want to spice things up. I don't know. But be wary of how much you're gonna feel, and it's good. Feel it and practice your discernment. All right, Leo. Full moon in the 11th. A lot of 5th house energy for you. Pretty good vibes. All that 5th house energy. Leos are probably feeling pretty ramped up, ready to, take the stage, show what's up. I got beliefs. I got all sorts of stuff to show you. And full moon in the 11th, you could definitely be wanting to show off, show your friends all the cool stuff that you're creating. You could definitely be wanting to be playful. But there is that sort of energy in the 11th with, it can also be a little disconnected, right? So I think you kind of need to put all that creative potential, you need to put that out there a little bit. Or if you've been putting too much focus, Leo, on others and not putting enough on yourself, this is also a great opportunity to realize that, well, that's got to change too, because then you're not being able to really focus your huge creative power into what you're going to do and what you're going to show and who you are. So I think you got to find, this is like a great opportunity for balance here of knowing, wow, I have all of this to show. I have all of this to give. I have all of this to create with, and I need to put it out in the world. People need to see and feel this with me. Or you're feeling drained because you put too much out and you've done too much for everybody else, and you haven't given yourself enough love. You haven't given yourself enough enjoyment and fun, and you haven't been feeling like a Leo. This is a great opportunity to feel like you can be an individual and that you can disconnect and that you can focus on yourself and your life, and it's okay. You don't have to feel like you're letting everybody down. Saturn in the 8th doesn't make anything easier for any of us, but for you, it's in the 8th house. Having to trust, having to get through fears. There could be blocks, it can almost feel like, wow, if I do what I want to do here and express myself as my true self, like a Leo should, that, people, wow, I'm gonna lose their trust because I'm gonna do my own thing. They're not gonna want to connect or merge with me or so it's kind of a hard one with this, because I feel like you have a lot of energy that needs to really focus on the self, but there's this other people and connective and merging energy that can bring up fears, right? Like, will somebody leave if I do this? What will the repercussions of my actions, of what I'm creating, have on another person? Which makes it difficult, and that's what Saturn does. It makes it difficult. So, you have to you have to put a lot of effort right now into not being afraid, into, standing firm in your passion and standing firm in what you want. You got to take all the emotional authority and responsibility right now for how things go. So depending on what you're creating, how you're creating your life, showing yourself, there's always repercussions, right? You just have to be emotionally prepared for whatever that might be. And I think you'll be fine. And I think that this is a time where Leos can really feel pretty darn good. with all that fifth house. And, hopefully be really creative, um, romantic even. I feel like Neptune in the eighth, making squares to the fifth is like it's like rose-colored glasses in the most like romantic way, like because it romanticizes whether it's just having fun or itself or somebody else. And I don't think that's a bad thing. For you, I think that it's good because unfortunately, you might be thinking that everything's going to be just fine too, and then again, there's repercussions. I feel like Leos are having to deal with repercussions of other people right now. It's a hard one. You can't take it all on yourself, and you can't feel like you're letting other people down either. That's important. Venus in your third wants you to express yourself, but it also wants you to, I think, change the way you're thinking about things, and like, you got to open things up right now. I think even with Sag, as your fifth house and all this fifth house energy, and the ruler of the North Node, Mars, with the sun, there's just so much like energy that needs to expand right now, and I don't think you want to play small ball because it's comfortable. So I feel like you're also feeling like this need to kind of do something big. And that it's almost scary because again, by doing the next step and going bigger, there's repercussion energy. Like it's almost like something has to go so that something big can come in. And that can be a very interesting energy that can feel really good to some, and it can also be terrifying to others because you'd have to let go of something and disconnect from it and be able to non-attach. And I think that's too the moon in your 11th is the more attached you are right now, the more fear is going to be brought up, the more non-attached to outcome, but strong in yourself and your creative presence, the better, frequency is just going to go up. You're just going to connect better. Things are just going to get better and bigger and more open. But there can definitely be a lot of, whether it's imaginary fear or real fear, that could be kind of trying to, stomp the flame out a little bit. But I think there's too much flame here for you, Leo, in your fifth house, and I don't think that will be anything to really stop you, if I'm being honest. Maybe just for a minute. Virgo, you got a full moon in your 10th house. So I think this is definitely like a lot of emotional maturity, trying to, come to a peaking point here. It can feel like you have so many responsibilities, like the weight of the world is on your shoulders. This can make you feel just heavy. And especially with Saturn in your 7th house, is dealing with people. And all this in your 4th house. I mean, there's just a lot of like, I feel like Virgos are feeling like they can't get where they want to go right now. Maybe it's their home life, their personal life, or people or relationships. They want to think that something's holding them back. And maybe there are things holding you back. But I think this is a big emotional maturity place where you have to realize that you got to make decisions. You got to step up. You got to be emotionally resilient. If you have to if you have to make big relationship decisions, you have to. I feel like this is a big decision time. And you have to be okay with making those decisions. And it could hurt feelings. Your feelings could get hurt in a decision. Somebody else's could get hurt in a decision. You're trying to sort of build this foundation, whether it's your home life or just how you feel about yourself. So, I think there's a lot of pressure on the people in your life, the career that you're partnered with, what you want to do. I feel like you could be feeling like you really need to do something big right now. And, at the same time, do you? That's the other question with the full moon in your 10th. Do you have to reach so high right now? Or is there another time for that? Is there more focus to feel secure and safe inside yourself, and to believe in yourself, and to believe that you can have solid connection and relationship with others? Or is it other people that are just becoming this thing that's stopping you and holding you back? And I think there's questions one way or the other for Virgo, and I think this is a great opportunity to just take the emotional responsibility and be mature and really question and have conversation and listen too. And be able to listen to others and be able to give your advice, and to give your opinions. Yeah, it's very interesting. And then your ruler Mercury is square Neptune in your seven too. So it's really hard if you think that other people are the problem for everything that's happening in your life. Like I feel like if you feel like heavy right now, there's heavy energy for you. It's a lot of pressure, but you don't want to create stories that aren't true. And I think that you want to do your best to emotionally decipher and be very honest about what's going on, what the truth is. Be honest about your feelings, but then, I think accept that other people are being honest too. Like you can't think that everything that somebody else says is a lie and everything you say is just true every time. So there's a lot of, I don't know, I feel like there's a lot of conflict of interest right now with people, whether they're holding you back from goals or they're holding you back from comfort, or you want to just achieve something right now, but you're not giving your relationships attention or you're not giving your home life attention. This was a good full moon that's like going to show, are you putting enough work into your relationships or home or your career, and what's out of balance and what isn't working? You have to be okay with that, and whatever the answer is, and take emotional responsibility for whatever the answer is and for whatever the outcome is too. But it's forcing decision, it's forcing action, and it's forcing change. It really is. It's saying that, the peak out of this current energy is coming to a close and something has to be done. So you are in a very something has to be done point. And you got North Node in your eighth, so it's very interesting. I mean, Venus and South Node in your second. I do feel like you need to trust and merge right now, but it's very hard. And it could be easier to just feel like the easy decision is to just end something, when maybe it's like, well, actually you got to put more effort and work into it emotionally. Or vice versa. You're putting way too much work and effort in and you're not feeling good about it and something has to be done. So I think you got to look at, see how it fits you, but that's what I'm feeling for Virgo. All right, Libra. Full moon in your ninth third axis. This is definitely interesting for, again, like if there's limiting beliefs, they got to go. You can't be having those right now. You got to be very emotionally expansive and I think willing to take in information. And I think if you feel like you know it all right now, you're going to get hit with a lot of truth bombs. And it's going to feel kind of abrasive and very like a mental checkmate, whether it's dealing with others or even just in your own mind. The more willingness you have to learn and to not feel like you have it all just figured out and everything's good, the better. Especially with your ruling planet in your South Node conjunct and the South Node in your first. And unfortunately, like you're not going to find balance thinking that you're right all the time or that you have it all figured out. Like you're actually going to find balance and alignment and harmony by listening to others, taking in new information. Like you don't have to be the teacher all the time. Sometimes you can be the student. So I think this is a good opportunity for you to be emotionally open to new information, new ways of thinking, beliefs, paths, whatever it might be. Maybe you want to study, some new stuff too. Maybe you're feeling like, yeah, I do want to go and investigate more information and learn. This would be a very, I think, beneficial time. I feel like your mind's ready to soak up information right now. It's just like, you can't fill up a full cup, right? It just overflows. So to me, this feels like don't be afraid to empty the cup so that you can refill it with new information. I feel like there's a lot of things that, want to show up and give you information right now. You got to be willing to take that and not so emotionally resilient or dogmatic in your own approach or, another's approach. But like, what else is on the journey? Like, I feel like, you're like on a, big trip in your life right now, whether you are or you aren't. but it's a metaphor, of course. But like you're on this big trip, this big journey, and you like the map you had ran out, and like the next step, like you need to go get a new map and look at it, and it's like gonna have a different path, or just letting you know like the path so you can find the facts for it. So that's how I feel for you. You got Saturn in your sixth, squaring this energy, which is just so I mean, it's just so mental for you right now, and I feel like you can be way too hard on yourself or critical of others. And in some ways right now you do need to be critical. You need to make sure you're taking the right path, and you're on the right journey for yourself, and that your beliefs align with you. Like these are all very important things. But again, it's like being too critical over someone else's opinion or belief, not wanting to, not wanting to take on, anything else. I'm good. My cup's full. Don't worry about me. Um, it's not gonna. I feel like it's not gonna help you get further. It's not gonna help you make necessary adjustments. And I think adjustments are key right now. You need more information. This is the time to focus your intent on new information. If you don't get new information, you're not gonna find balance. It's just the way it is for you. So, what do you need new information for? Is it self? Is it your day-to-day life? Is it diet? Does it have to do with work? Whatever it might be. Is it your relationships? You need to find the information that's true right now. And, release just a belief that everything's fine or everything's good if the facts are different. And likewise, if he thinks everything's terrible, but the facts are actually showing up that they're good, it's okay to not. It's okay. You don't have to think negatively too. You can think positively. You can start making changes there. And Neptune's just, again, making, in a very very mental and very critical place. It's making it very hard to maybe see clearly, to maybe understand what's true, what's not true, what's fact, what's fiction. I hear you talking, but it doesn't mean anything. I can't understand it, right? Like it's not making, how am I supposed to take the fact of that when it makes zero sense, So maybe that's too where you got to go on your own, and like do your own stuff. Take information for what it is, but then dig in for yourself and see if you can align more facts, if you can, get in deeper and what's going on. Surface level things are going to be, they're just going to feel more difficult than they need to be, because I feel like you have to go a little deeper than that right now. And I think Jupiter, even in your eighth, and Uranus in your eighth, are pretty much, they're trying to help you go deep for sure and expand so that you can make the surface more pretty, more aesthetic, more beautiful, and more harmonious. But you might have to be going deep within yourself about your feelings too, and where you think things are going, and how to make little pivots and adjustments to get that right for yourself. Scorpio, full moon in the eighth. Well, very scorpionic energy for you with this full moon. It could definitely be bringing up maybe some kind of fears, some kind of heaviness emotionally. There could be things that you're, mentally obsessed with and emotionally obsessed with. And I don't know, right? Like, what are these things? They're going to be very apparent, I feel like. So you got to see what's of great value to you and what isn't. Second house. What is of great value? What people are of great value? What information is of great value? Anything that you're merging with in life, what is of great value? If it's not, and it's just lead, this is a great time to turn that to gold. It's becoming clear. This is lead. I'm the alchemist. I'm Scorpio. I'm going to turn this into gold. But you can also get so emotionally fixated or obsessed on something that you don't want to let go of the truth. And, you might think something is gold when it's actually, it's coal. Those things are going to be clear. There's a lot of truth there for you right now. But you have to be able, again, to let go of something. I feel like this full moon saying it's okay to let go. You can have more and better. It's okay. What is it you need to let go of? Probably gonna be running through your mind. You'll probably feel it emotionally. There can be a lot of, a lot of opposing force. I feel like you could really believe something's the bee's knees in life right now, and there's enough fact that's saying it's not, but you might not want to say, yeah, I should cut ties with it. Kind of emotionally, you got to think about that just too, like what is emotionally ready to go. You don't have to hold on to things until they die. Sometimes you can just walk away. What might that be for you? You'll have to figure that one out for yourself. It's above my pay grade. And then that Mercury square, right? So over there, and then of course the Saturn square. So these big squares to your fifth house. This creative self-expression, this, romantic energy, love, fun. It's almost like I feel like Saturn's trying to say, oh yeah, are you sure? You think you can have fun? Did you earn the fun? Are you emotionally invested enough to have fun, Scorpio? No, you're not. You're not. You're not. Saturn says you're not. No. This is like it's just really big decisions. You got to make big decisions about what's going to bring more happiness into your life. If things aren't making you happy and there's a bunch of emotional and mental proof and evidence of what's not making you happy, Saturn's just saying, look, you can be as happy as you want. You can have the dream, the magic, all of it, but you can't give yourself away and not hold true to your values. If you want gold, you got to treat yourself like gold, and you can't do that with lead surrounding you or coal surrounding you. So I think, it's an important time for Scorpio to just really let go of things that are not good. If it's not happiness, if it's not love, if it's not the things that you want to make your life more abundant, what are you doing with it? This full moon's showing you every fact you could possibly, it's showing you everything you could possibly see. But again, Mercury in your second, you might want to over romanticize something that's not gold when really you want gold right now. So again, it's discernment, and it's the willingness to express yourself for the better in life and to start making changes. North Node's in your first. I'm sorry, in your sixth, and Mars is in your second, and Venus and the South Node are in your 12th. Like, over romanticizing situations and staying in situations that are just, overall they're self detrimental. They're just undoing. Even though it romanticizes well, it imagines well. What's the reality of the situation? Is it making you happy? Is it better for you? Is it gold? Is it not? Think about that. And then just step up and make calls for yourself. Saturn in the fifth can be a great time because you have the authority to create the life you want. You can feel like you can't, but you have it. You just gotta make decisions, and sometimes they're not the easy ones, right? Not the ones we romanticized. Sag, full moon in the 7th. Happy birthday, Sag. Happy birthday. Sterling's birthday was on the 24th. He is 6 years old now. Pretty cool. Good times. So, full moon in the 7th. I mean, this is definitely bringing up a lot of relationship emotions, thoughts, feelings. What's going on with relationships, Sag? Is that all? Is that all good? It's bringing up balance, harmony too. Things that you want to relate with. What's in alignment? There's going to be a lot of feelings of what's in alignment with this. What's in alignment, what's not. Who's the vibe, who's not. It's your birthday. It's your season. You'll be feeling yourself. Are other people feeling you too? Are you balancing all of this energy with other people? Are you making it all about yourself and not sharing energy with your relationships? If so, things will be brought to your attention. Likewise, if you're wanting to share your attention and you're not getting it, it'll be brought to your attention. So that's the upside, is that, I feel like it's very visible for you right now, Sag. Things are going good or they're not. They're in alignment or they're not. You have the square to Saturn. Those squares are definitely saying that you have to make emotional decisions here. You have to make choices. Are things in alignment or are they not? I could say it all day. Are you making defining choices for yourself? Or are you, again, South Node and Venus in your 11th, are you just doing what everybody else wants to keep the peace, to not ruffle feathers? Or are you really putting things in your own hands right now and saying, like, look, this isn't working. There's enough fact. It ain't it. I got to take this time to do me. I have to. It's building my own base up. It's my security. I'm only going to feel good about myself if I have, my own sustainability and, if I know that my base is good. So I feel like you're getting a little test, maybe not a big one, but maybe at least a little one that's like, all right. Is the base good here? Is the foundation strong? Or is it not? Is it out of balance? Is it out of alignment? Am I giving too much? Am I not receiving? Am I not giving and just receiving? All these things could be brought up right now, which is going to have you test and force your creative potential in life by expression, whether it's verbally or not, emotionally maybe. Your ruling planet Jupiter is in your 6th too, and retrograde still, of course, coming up on quincunxes to the sun. So I do think for you, Sag, too, like you're having to be really real and honest about situations right now, and you're having to be critical about situations, and probably a lot about the people that you're around and your home situation, and do they fit where you're going in life? Are they going to expand your journey? Are they going to make things better? Are you going to be able to express yourself the way you want to? Do you get that now? Do you not? These are big questions. Yeah, Mercury square Neptune, also in your 4th, so very interesting about self-expression and how you're feeling. You might end up in these situations where you have to express yourself to others, and it's just like, again, we're all struggling with this right now, so don't take it, it's just in a time where it's a full moon in Gemini and it is the let's have a talk full moon, if you will. Nobody is going to be saying what they probably should. It's very interesting. So don't take it too personal either. Balance and alignment will come. It doesn't have to come in one night. But remember, you got to put yourself first here too. You got to do things that let you create the life you want, that let you expand, let you grow. And remember too, it's okay to listen to other people also, but you definitely don't have to be so passive and everybody else can win but me. I think this is a great opportunity to remember, like, you should be winning too. All right, Cap. You got a full moon in your 6th house. Big 12th house transit. Capricorn, fun. I feel like for you, there's a lot of things that need to kind of get straightened out. Like things are kind of dirty and messy. They're starting to get messier. Things are getting messier and messier, and I think this is where you're gonna start to see like what is really messy. This is the messy axis, the 12th. When you have more in the 12th and it's opposing energy in the 6th, the 6th house is this full moon's trying to show you what is a mess. And what is just disgusting and gross and dirty. And you might not want to pay attention to that. You might want to say, no, it's fine. I'll just keep doing this. But that would probably be not beneficial for your health. You got to remember with all this 12th house too, your immune system's open. So Capricorns are very vulnerable right now. So I think you want to pay attention to things. You want to make the necessary adjustments to clean things up, especially like if your intuition is telling you, if you feel like spiritually right now, you're like, yeah, this is not good for me spiritually, physically, mind, body, spirit, all of that for you right now. If this is not good, because facts are going to show up, whether it's your blood pressure's up or you're gaining weight or I don't know what it is, or something, some sickness, something showing you that you're creating disease in your life by the way you're living. So you got to clean up the day to day. Pay attention. Feelings, different things right now are going to give you the little subtle hints or the big hints about how to make the necessary changes. And that can, be hard right now with all the 12th house to see, and Mars in your 12th and the Sun and Mercury. It's very confusing. It is very confusing. And your ruling planet's getting squared by this energy, Saturn, in your third. And that's just adding to the confusion, because I think you want to act like you have the authority, right? You kind of want to act like you know what's up and you have the truth and everything's, I'm good, I have it figured out. And I think you need to be open to that you don't, and you need to listen and you need to learn right now. And I think you need to pay attention to things. Like, this is an important time to pay attention, and it might be easy to escape that and float away or not, pay attention to the little things. But I do feel like for you right now, if you pay attention to the little things, things are going to go way better than if you don't. Like, you can let things snowball. This could be a snowball full moon for Capricorn, and I would hate to see things snowball in the wrong direction. It can also snowball in the right direction if you can pay attention to important things and not let things slide. And I feel like it's going to be hard. It's not going to be easy. You're going to feel like you're doing everything right. And I think you could, or you're feeling like, wow, I am really doing things wrong. And then you're being too hard and critical on yourself. And then there's anxiety. And that doesn't need to be the case either. You have to be careful with your mind. You have to be very emotionally strong and resilient right now. And you have to be very intellectually strong and resilient right now. If you are, you'll be fine. You'll do the necessary things, and it won't be that big of a deal. Like, some of this could be the most mundane stuff. But it's also just, how do you understand it? Neptune and Mercury are in square, and Mercury's in your 12th, and Neptune's in your 3rd. Like, how do you understand it? You probably don't. This is going to be very intuitive. It's going to be very feeling based. Fact is just going to be a challenge. Like, Saturn's going to make it hard for you to find truth. It's going to make it harder for you to find the necessary adjustments and the right words to say. And they'll come, but it can feel like it's harder than necessary right now. So I think really the trick is to really pay attention to the subtle things, the energy, the feeling, the emotion. Meditate. Take a minute to really see what can make things better, what's coming through, and then do the things. I feel like you kind of, like, Capricorn almost has to set like New Year's resolutions a little early. Like, set them now. It doesn't mean you have to achieve anything now. You really don't. You have the South Node in your 10th with Venus and the North Node in your 4th. You don't have to, make some groundbreaking achievement right now. You can spin your wheels all you want if you think you're going to do it. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. But really focus on how to make your day-to-day life better, your home life better, your emotions, your mind. You're at a place where, like, if you can, get this checklist and just check off, like, yeah, mind, body, spirit, check. They're in order to the best they can be right now. Good. But if you go through and you're writing the list down, you're like, yeah, this is that, this isn't. Probably a good thing right now. Add some critical presence to your life. It'll have a payoff in the end, and you'll be able to check that off, and you'll be solid and have the foundation, both mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually, that you need down the road. But this is like where you can either be making those adjustments and doing really positive things for yourself, or quite the opposite, you can spiral downhill. So you have to be careful, Capricorn, not to spiral downhill. Aquarius, full moon in the 5th. All right. Not a bad place for a full moon, but you know, it brings up a lot of like the things you want in opposition to what others want and what friends or groups or what's cool. So it's like, well, what are what are you inventing in life right now? And are you creating something? I think you can, are you showing it? Are you showing what you're creating or inventing? Maybe now's a time where you feel like you got to put something out there. Or maybe you're not putting enough out there, and you're not showing the world that you're Aquarius enough and revolutionary enough. The 5th house deals with courage, right? So I think this is a good time to like really cultivate and culminate this courage energy so that you can really bring it out, show it to friends, show it to the collective, shock people. Be an Aquarius. This is a great opportunity to just be you. You don't have to please other people to be you. You just be you. That's what people love about Aquariuses. When Aquariuses are just themselves, they're the coolest. Everybody, it's the most magnetic energy in the zodiac. When Aquariuses are just being themselves. They're not doing it to be cool. They're not doing it to impress people. They're just being themselves. Crazy frequency attraction. It's really weird. Thank you, Angelica. I appreciate the super. So yeah, it's interesting. You need to have the courage to be an Aquarius, to be unique, to be free, to think differently, to do differently, to act differently. You don't need to be like everybody else. You're not supposed to be. And the closer Pluto gets to really fully coming into Aquarius, you're going to start to see that more and more. And you're going to go through identity changes you never thought would happen. But it's just to, again, revitalize and rejuvenate this Aquarius energy. And I think that this is a great full moon energy where it's like, well, why can't I start just doing that now? Like, why can't I revolutionize my life now? It's because there's fear. There's fear, or a lack of confidence, or a lack of self-worth. So this is like just a super time to realize how much fun it is to be yourself and to create life for yourself and to create life that you feel fully connected to. And the things that are limiting you from that, I think you also have to realize that the truth of the matter is you limited yourself. It didn't have anything to do with anything else. It didn't. You limited yourself. You want to have a breakout moment in life? You want to do something radical? You want to be, whatever life to you is unique, because I'm not here to tell you have to be radical. You're an Aquarius. You can live life however you want to. You can literally, like, that's what's cool. It's when you do it yourself and you do it your way. But whatever's stopping you from that, it's not something else. It's you. So I think this is a great moment to realize that you can shift the information and the fact about how you self-talk, how you pump yourself up, and start getting out there and doing the things you want to do. You don't have to be held back. So I think that's where I'm at with Aquarius. And then, of course, the Saturn, that's where the self-worth stuff comes in. I was bringing up. In the second, like thinking that you can't, or that you're not worth it, or you don't have enough money, or whatever. Like, stop with the limiting beliefs. Venus in the South Node in the 9th. Create and cultivate and make your reality and your environment, make it yours. There's nothing else. And you had, of course, the new moon in your 10th house. Like, this was the time to make big decisions and move forward. Now you can be so fortunate if you just do it. Like Shia LaBeouf, just do it. Don't limit yourself. Stop saying you're not worth it. Stop thinking that other people have more say than you. This is where you take a lot of authority back, that you create your life. You will find the vibe, the frequency, the friends, whatever it is that you want, you'll get it by being unique. and being yourself and not doing what everybody else does. That'll trap you. Then this will come through and you'll be like, wow, I don't do anything I love to do. I just do everything for everybody else and I just bored. Don't do that either. Mercury square Neptune. I think it's very important for you because, again, the way you talk to yourself or about yourself, whether it's talking about yourself to people even, like you need to start making sure that you're like, I feel like you got to tell the fairy tale story about what you're creating. Like you got to start pumping yourself up. Start telling, yeah, I feel like you need to be cocky a little bit here. Like if someone comes up to you and they're like, are you a crazy cool Aquarius? Like, yeah, I'm the coolest Aquarius you've ever seen. Like, otherwise, it's like, there's like, no, I'm just average and one of us. There's nothing special about me. I feel like Aquarius needs to be special again. Honest opinion and what I feel from a lot of the astrology, but this is a good opportunity to say it. So I hope that's helpful. All right, Pisces. You get a full moon in your 4th. And it's 10th house season. So this is a very emotional full moon for Pisces. Every day is an emotional day for Pisces. There should be more emotion. It could be more mental though. Maybe Pisces will actually be thinking like, oh yeah, I escaped the emotion. And then they're like, whoa, I can't stop my mind. I am thinking nonstop. What is going on? Well, it's all because there are things that need to be done. There's things that are going on within you. There's feelings, there's thoughts. They're showing themselves for a reason. Action must be taken. Decisions must be made. If you don't do anything, how is anything ever going to get done? So I think you have, these big emotional decisions like to make about, do I want to be seen more? Do I want more recognition? Do I want to up level my career? Do I want to start a career? What are these things? Like, what are your achievements and accomplishments? There could be a lot of emotion about, are you doing enough? Are you living your purpose? I feel like there's a lot of tie there for Pisces right now, and it can be a very emotional time. And I think you need to remember too that like nothing happens overnight. It's okay. And if you have these feelings and you do want something and you want to do more, you can do it. You can start doing it. Maybe that's the benefit of this, is like you're like, wow, I would feel better about myself and I would feel more comfortable within myself if I put more effort into things that I want to achieve and if I believe that I can do it. Or you can feel completely taken back by responsibility and that you're doing too much and that it's just making you completely feel not secure and not safe and not good. And that's the balance point. Like, are you putting too much into career and not enough into your personal life and that's making you feel bad? Or are you putting so much into your personal life that you're just like, oh, I'm so bored. I need to put more into something else. That's for you. There's the truth of this full moon. It's just like, do it. Just do it. We can think about it all day, and Mercury can get stuck squaring Neptune in your 1st house. It can think about it all day, squaring your chart ruler. But is it going to do anything? I mean, it can imagine some amazing things, but is it going to do it? I don't know. Is it? That's up to you. Saturn's the big square right on your ascendant and whole sign. But yeah, it's coming for you, Pisces. Saturn wants your sun. It wants your Venus. It wants your Mercury if it's there. It wants it all. And it wants to make it grow up. So maturity time, no matter how old you are. So you got to, and especially with this 10th house season, your comfort is a choice. It is. If you're not comfortable with a job or you're not comfortable at home, like you got to make choices in life to make a change, to do something different, to activate the next thing. I think, you know, Pisces are in a pretty cool spot right now if they just want to do something. Like if they're using this big square energy. I mean, this goes really for Gemini and Virgo also. Like if you guys want to do something, you have the opportunity right now. That's the best part about squares. Is you just feel like you got to force it. You just got to do it. And you do. Do you want to achieve something? Go do it. Put the effort in, put the work in. Identify with the work. Identify with the effort. Identify with what it takes to make it happen. If your work isn't satisfying enough and you don't feel, you know, connected to yourself emotionally, spiritually, if you don't feel like you're connected to your family, if you feel like you've lost yourself in something else or in the world, then you got to put more effort into your home life. That's the decision. You put more effort into you. So it's not as complicated as the wheels are going to spin for you. You're going to think that this is the most complicated thing in the world, but it's not. It's not. You just need to do what's best for you, and it's the choice, and you don't have to be right either. You know, it's just stepping up and making the call, and that'll help you out a lot, Pisces. And I mean, yeah, that's really all I gotta say, to be honest. Turn those off. Appreciate you all. Thanks for the super chats. That was super generous of you. And Lauren and I are going to do a show at 4 p.m. Pacific. So it's like 2.5 hours away from now. We're going to talk about some progressed charts, solar arcs, composite progressed. It'll be kind of fun. I did get a new microphone too, so shout out to Chris Bryant. So cool. He sent me an email and he was like, gosh, I love your show with Lauren, but the audio sucks. And I know you know it. And I was like, I know. It's bad. We just used one and it's not good. And he does audio production and he hooked it up with a mic. And I'm super excited to use it. And an interface with the dual port so that we can have 2 XLR mics. I'm so stoked and so grateful and thankful. Thank you, Chris. You're the man. I'm looking forward to showing that and doing that's just going to be a better show, you know, with Lauren, where we both have good audio, and I'm looking forward to setting up cameras and like producing that to be pretty cool. So yeah, that'll be fun. And yeah, I love you all. Appreciate it. Hope that you had a great Thanksgiving. Happy Sag season. Full moon energy. I hope that it's great. I hope that it shows you the truth and everything that you need. And you don't have to think about it too much. Remember, Mercury's squaring Neptune for it. Like, we don't have to weigh it out too much. Like, the truth is the truth. Is the truth. You know? So you got to trust your truth too, because that's what it is. There can be pivots. There can be just expression. There can be a lot of things, but good. We're going to, again, every day we get closer to where we need to go. And every day we're right where we need to be. So we don't have to look too far ahead either. I love you all. Have a beautiful day, and I'll see you later if you stick around at 4 live with Lauren. All right. Much love, everybody.